The influence of social media on society has been a topic of controversy since its inception. It's estimated over 3 billion people use social media worldwide, with about 70% of Americans believed to use at least one platform. Many people try to argue if its influence is good or bad. This is illustrated in the debate of these two girls that we choose. Regarding the speaking roles and the quality of performance, the speaker of the affirmative performed correctly her role in terms of presenting the topic of how social media can be advantageous for people, reaffirming the affirmative line, rebuting, showing respect, presenting arguments. However, her performance was affected by reading her notes, distracting movements, not making a summary of her points, speaking slowly and many pauses for thinking, not making eye contact with the audience, and lack of factual evidence in her examples. On the other hand, also the negative speaker performed correctly her role in terms of reviewing the main points of the affirmative speaker, reaffirming the negative line, showing respect, presenting arguments, and making hand gestures with confidence. Nevertheless, her performance was affected by not making a summary of her most important points, monotone voice, not making eye contact with the audience, and lack of factual evidence in her examples. We can conclude that the quality of their performances and of the debate is deficient.
About the techniques, in general, they don't propose evidence concrete and specific facts. Thus, most of their arguments look weak without real or factual samples. About method, they follow a structure in which the affirmative speaker agrees that social media is beneficial and proceeds to present her reasons. Next, the negative speaker, despite the fact she coincides in some aspects with the other speaker, disagrees with the idea. The negative speaker explains why she doesn't think social media is good and rebutts a few of the main points of the affirmative speaker. Then, the affirmative speaker reaffirms her agreement and rebuts the main point presented by the negative speaker. Finally, the negative speaker reaffirms her disagreement and rebuts against some of the main points of the affirmative case. In general terms, they did not follow an outline. There were many arguments and rebuttals handled per participation, and for this reason the logic and sense with the ideas have been lost a bit. Moreover, at the end, each team does not make a summary of their most important points. About the manner, the affirmative speaker reads her notes. There is eye contact between the affirmative and negative speaker, but there is no eye contact with the audience while they are debating. And they don't emphasize the most important points with their pitch or volume. And also, they make many pauses and speak slowly. And finally, they don't vary the speed in which they talk.
Continue with communicative strategies, verbal and nonverbal. We have that the excessive use of notes, touching her hair, playing with the hands, can be shown as nervousness or mistrust. Additionally, having objects in the hands can be a distracting factor to the audience. Similarly, the use of hand gestures maintain eye contact between them, and almost always maintain good facial expression. This demonstrates respect. Also, they use connectors to relate arguments and use examples to sustain their ideas. Nevertheless, since they do not have enough material to support their point of view, most of them were based on personal ideas. Continue with persuasive speech impact. It can be considered that their arguments were well developed, but the lack of reference makes their arguments impossible since they were based on of opinions or experience and not with studies or facts. Finally, the negative speaker only mentioned the University of Chicago as a reference with some statistics, but in this case without any source. Now we continue with the debate. This house believes that social media is beneficial for society.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, the government will be arguing that social media is beneficial for society. Nowadays, technology surrounds us and allows us to connect. Indeed, social media is good for society because it improves life quality and communication. Similarly, I will be arguing the first point about how social media positively influences the quality of life of people, and then the Deputy Prime Minister will be presenting how social media enables communication and interaction. Social media positively influences the quality of life because, in fact, a study in this month's Scientific American Mind finds that social support and social networking offer benefits, from additional resilience to greater life satisfaction to reducing the risk of health problems. Other studies in the past 2 years have found that feeling like a part of a larger group helps in stroke recovery and memory retention and boosts overall well-being.
Before we present our arguments, the opposition will content the definition present. We find it as unrealistic. Thus, it should be defined as social networks are harmful. This allows us to debate not simply that social media could be good, but to debate whether the positive and negative outweighs each other. The Prime Minister put forward an argument in which established that social media reduced the risk of health problems. However, a study found that social media use reflect increased narcissist personality traits. As if this were not enough, researchers have found that interruptions due to phone notifications can cause inattention and hyperactivity in people. Therefore, social media is harmful. Along with this, it harms our relationships, individuals, culture, and society. In essence, I will be arguing initially about the privacy issues of social media, and then our deputy of opposition will be arguing about how social media transmit an unrealistic idea of beauty. To begin with, social media is a gift to stalkers in that it often provides a detailed description of what you do or where you go. As such, the more that you share on social media, the more vulnerable you are to physical and cyber attacks.
We maintain our line. The leader of the opposition contended that social networks can be used for bad intentions by stalkers. The government doesn't adopt that, but every website on the internet has privacy terms, including social media sites. Also, people can adjust privacy settings and turn off gadgets location sharing. This brings me to my next argument. Taking into account security measures, social media enables communication and interaction with people. In fact, we are now able to interact with thousands of people all over the world. Social media allows us the opportunity to share opinions with a far wider audience.
We understand, but as the opposition mentioned before, social media is not good for society. It is harmful. In fact, according to what you mentioned, social media facilitates the scope of communication that can be had with people from different parts of the world. However, these networks just substitute real contact. According to Amstein studies made by the Cigna Health Insurance Company, suggests that spending hours every day using social media mainly as a substitute for real connection makes people feel lonely. In addition to the emotional damage this can cause, I also argue against that social media positively influences the quality of life of people with the fact that experimental methods explored that social media interruptions causes inattention and hyperactivity. Some of the symptoms are associated with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Now, moving on to my argument, social media conveys unrealistic ideas of beauty. In this sense, people are constantly scrolling through perfect photos from friends, celebrities, and models. Study made by the Macquarie University and the University of New South Wales showed that even 30 minutes on the social media app can make women fixate negatively on their weight and appearance.
I started the second part of the debate as a member of the government. I reaffirmed that social media enables communication and interaction with people. According to a study about communication outside of the home through social media during COVID-19, some participants noted they were connecting more with people, including family members and old friends. And also, despite the fact that social media could be harmful for some reasons presented by the opposition, social media is not the only mean that harms self-esteem by establishing beauty standards. There is also television and magazines. And even it could be questioned if social networks really transmit unrealistic standards of beauty because for example, according to the UK's Advertising Standards Authority, influencers and celebrities will not allowed to apply filters on the photos that promote beauty products.
It is true that social media is not the only means that establish unrealistic ideas of beauty or beauty standards, and that maybe uh, not all influencers use filters. However, regarding the filters, uh, Crawford, a researcher on all children obsessions with media, state the problem is that this cyber self can become increasingly distant from the real world itself, and it can become harder to live up to the perfect image of self that is projected online. Also, Tashi, the director of the Ethnic Skin Center, mentioned that a new phenomenon known as Snapchat dysmorphia has appeared where patients are seeking to create a distorted version of themselves through surgery. Thus, social media is still harmful for society.
To conclude, the government believes that social media has several beneficial aspects for society because it has a positive influence on people, as well as promote easy communication around the world despite difficulties such as the pandemic caused by the COVID-19.
In conclusion, the opposition believes that social media have several harmful and hazardous aspects for society because it influences people's privacy as well as their daily life face-to-face interactions are affected. Additionally, social media promotes insecurity in people by showing an unreal idea of beauty.